Yoshiki and Hikaru have been lifelong friends, but one day Hikaru is replaced by an eldritch entity that's absorbed his body, his mind, and his life. But if that's so, then is Hikaru really dead? The Summer Hikaru Died is a slice-of-life horror manga created by Mokumokuren, following Yoshiki and the entity that's taken over the life of his best friend, Hikaru. He looks like him, talks like him, and pretty much is him. It isn't until Yoshiki confronts him that his face starts to melt apart into some Lovecraftian ooze. Hikaru, as he's referred to, pleads with Yoshiki to accept him, because this is the first time he's experiencing school, friends, and has genuine affection for Yoshiki, and he doesn't want to kill him. Yoshiki decides it's better to keep him around than face the risks of outing him. And that's how it starts. 6 volumes in English with a few more on the way. Yoshiki faces the dangers of a dead world, the company it invites, and explores what exactly is Hikaru. Also, spoiler warning for the first 3 volumes. Now, there's this interesting philosophy question developing in this series. Can something replace someone? I.e., can a perfect copy replace a person? What if something looked a lot like something else? Does it make it that thing? Technically, Hikaru died in the mountains 6 months ago. Then the entity found his body, settled, and it absorbed his memories, personality, and the appearance of Hikaru. So, does that mean Hikaru's still alive? If he looks like him, talks like him, and is him in most parts, does that mean he's really dead? It's like if Hikaru is a pond, but the water's been drained and replaced by the entity's existence. Hikaru's gone, but his shape remains, forming the entity into Hikaru. A still friendly and gleeful person, but supernaturally intelligent and occasionally killer being. A different Hikaru, sure, but still foreign from Hikaru. So in that case... So fans of TSHD may keep noticing I'm calling the being that's overtaken Hikaru the entity. There's a bunch of twists that come with that, but they're not really relevant for what we're talking about today. All you need to know is that the entity found Hikaru's body and took it over. It's not a replicated body like a shapeshifter or a mimic. We know this because while Yoshiki notices difference in pronunciation, behaviors, that's not how he knows Hikaru's been replaced. He knows because he saw Hikaru's dead body. Let me explain. The night Hikaru goes missing, the last night he was alive, the village searches for him, but only Yoshiki knows where he's at. To perform his family ritual at the mountain, Yoshiki treks up the forest and finds him. Cold, not breathing, dead from a fall he took. He passes out after he returns, and a few days later, Hikaru returned. He later explains he found his body in his entity form after he died and took it over. And from what we know, this is true because this Hikaru wouldn't lie to Yoshiki. He's made that pretty clear. His affection towards him is too strong. Okay, so the entity has taken over Hikaru's body, essentially becoming him, physically at least, with the exception of his inner body composition being composed of the entity's ooze. So Hikaru's alive? Because he looks like Hikaru, since he has the original body of him, like if he was a puppet, but someone else was controlling him. Because puppets are just that, puppets. But this is a person we're talking about. Having the body or talking like someone isn't enough. You need to act like them, be them. Otherwise it'd be like having Chainsmoker voice Kermit. God, does this not a difference. The Return of the Muppet Show. So that leads us to... When the entity took over Hikaru's body, he also absorbed his memories and personality to an extent, to a level that his behavior goes virtually unnoticed by friends and family. But Hikaru is far from the same person he was 6 months ago. Some words are foreign to him, like torture. And then in class, when they're watching a movie, Hikaru breaks down crying, despite having seen it so many times before. And we see this echoed again as he's eating mincemeat cutlet, and freaks out because it's so good. Hikaru notes that while he has the same memories as him, it's the first time he's experiencing them before. Similar to how watching a ride at Disneyland is different from being on it, reading about the taste of a meal is different from eating it, or watching a video about a manga series can never be the same as reading and experiencing it for yourself. Don't forget to like and follow. This directly ties into his relationship with Yoshiki, because throughout this series, Hikaru feels this special passion for him. The alive Hikaru felt this way too, with his final breaths being about how he didn't want Yoshiki to be alone. Because while Yoshiki has other friends, he's been with Hikaru since they were kids, with them being the only boys in similar ages in their village. And whether or not Hikaru had always felt this level of affection with him when he was alive, it became vocal and amplified with the entity's presence. Hikaru is protective of Yoshiki, so much so he'll consume impurities that threaten him and his family. He's also more vulnerable around him, with the original Hikaru rarely crying around him. And again when Hikaru confesses his admiration for Yoshiki. Okay, so there's this whole other story behind the meaning of this passion, but from what I gathered, it's not romance targeted. It's something that's more open to interpretation. The author writes, he describes TAD as a coming-of-age horror story. There's romantic explorations that come to life in certain parts. TLDR, it's not a boy-meet-boy love story, but definitely an exploration of those themes with horror. But something that isn't remotely like Hikaru is Hikaru's lack of understanding of a human life. Before the boys get home from school, they encounter an old woman screaming at Hikaru. She knows what he is. So later that night, what's revealed to be Hikaru visits her, and it's not that Hikaru desires murdering people, but he's got this deep need to stay hidden, so he can enjoy life and stay with Yoshiki. But also, he doesn't understand why living is so important, and that's mostly due to the entity's understanding of the afterlife. So the living world is composed of our ordinary world, people, animals, etc. But overlying is the other side, a type of ghost realm where powerful souls and ghouls, specters collect. Occasionally, these things leak through to the living world because of their strong emotions or spirits, and become impurities. Like ghosts, but much freakier. Some are bad, some are good, and it's all part of the cycle of life and death. So, to Hikaru, there is no difference between life and death, only the form it takes. And it's this enhanced understanding that makes Hikaru lack the sacredness of a life, and why he'll go to those lengths to stay hidden. And it doesn't stop there, because while he acts like Hikaru, that doesn't mean he always feels the same way. Hikaru himself notes the alive Hikaru liked watermelon, but he likes ice cream. He hated boring movies, but not him. And he hates studying, but this Hikaru loves it. He also doesn't feel pain, romance, or typical human desires. So that's it for real this time. His personality is just too different to argue Hikaru's alive again, because of the entity. So Hikaru really is dead. But let's go back to that lake analogy. Because while the pond is filled with the entity's understanding and knowledge, it's still shaped by Hikaru. Like how a comically large spoon is still a spoon. So does that mean Hikaru, in essence, is still alive? Yoshiki thinks so. Even though Yoshiki knew since day one Hikaru died, and never truly accepted the entity taking his place, he kept him around. Sure, it could have been to save himself and his friends, but really this is a story about grief. Yoshiki's best friend died in the mountains alone. Yoshiki never got to say goodbye or tell him how much he meant to him, and it's eating away at him. So he knows it's crazy and selfish, hiding a killer Hikaru, but he's not ready to let go of him again. So to him, Hikaru's still alive, until it becomes too much. So some people have abilities to hear distortions / impurities. Asako, one of their friends, is one of them. So she confronts Hikaru about who he really is. And so... But Yoshiki interrupts him, and stops him from killing her. Hikaru still doesn't understand the meaning of a life, but values Yoshiki's life over everything else. The next day, he asks Hikaru to ditch school with him, but he still has nothing to say about last night. They spend the day doing whatever Hikaru wants, watching a movie, getting snacks, but he still doesn't understand why he's being so nice to him. So the two head home. Hikaru starts talking about Master plus Master, a manga they've been reading. Yoshiki stabs Hikaru, but he doesn't die. He can't die. Yoshiki breaks down. Hikaru, the real one, truly is dead, and he's never coming back. And that's the answer, because the theme of TSHD is grief, and the slow acceptance of a death of a loved one. So despite the entity molding in Hikaru, having his personality, appearance, it was never about the shape of the water, or the size. It was about what's in it. And Hikaru's original soul, the water that formed and created everything about him, is gone forever. Yoshiki has finally accepted that fact, and knew Hikaru needed to be stopped before he hurt anyone else. Yoshiki tells Hikaru, if he can't die, then kill him. And Hikaru doesn't know what to do. His entire world is shattering apart. Because to him, his world is Yoshiki, the only place he belongs. That's why he couldn't kill him. Hikaru pushes his hands in his insides. He tears out half of himself and pours it into a piece of bone. He still doesn't understand the value of a life, so he weakened himself enough so he can't kill people easily. Hikaru felt home for the first time in his before and afterlife because of Yoshiki. Yoshiki says he's imprinted on him, like a baby duck. Yoshiki accepts, and he swears to be by Hikaru's side as they figure out where he really came from. So, that's it. For realsy this time. Hikaru truly is dead. And that's what this story's always been about. One about grief and acceptance. See, Yoshiki exhibits the touchstones of grief through the first arc. It's not linear, of course, grief usually isn't, but it all leads up to acceptance. And through it, he can move forward and help his new friend. And while we've seen cases of the dead coming back to life in the series, it's always come with a heavy price or a curse. So I doubt if the end of the series featured the real Hikaru coming back. It'd be a happy ending, sure, but it wouldn't be the right one. TSHD was always a story of grief, which is why for Yoshiki to move on, he needed to accept that. Don't forget to like and follow, and do yourself a massive favor and read the Summer Hikaru Died, so much animated slice of life details that no video could do it justice. Bye!